Hi guys, welcome back. We are now continue with next episode with our journey in integration and actually integration in direction SAP systems with Microsoft Teams. What we did so far, we show how to establish trust between business technology platform and Azure Active Directory, then establish trust with a standalone backend systems, which is running in Azure in my tenant, and then you did on your tenant side integration in Azure Active Directory. Then we play with Azure API management to prepare APIs. And today we are ready to consume those APIs, correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
Great.
And
I think last time we forget one of the most important part in our video series, yeah, because we need to be in sync with our name. Now, energy. Okay, so Martin.
It's true, Robert. Actually, I made a note on the towels.
Okay. Great.
On the 103B, which we did last time, because actually we prepared the towels, but we got caught up in the error troubleshooting. So
yeah,
it stayed there. Yeah. But I see that there it is. Yeah. So they were close.
Okay.
So
yeah,
we get lucky. Yeah.
Very important. Yeah.
Okay, and today, chatbot time, yeah? Everything prepared, as you said. And we're using this client to make use of those APIs, yeah? And the chatbot is, so to say, top of mind for many Teams users, yeah? Where you want to have some sophisticated interaction. And today you have a couple of options how to approach your chatbot endeavor. And we prepared a table here, yeah, to get a feeling to choose which one, yeah. And the SDK is the typical full code option, yeah, that our partners who want to develop something very flexible for the end users very often like. There's the composer, which is the one we're going to see today, which is like a merge between the very low code option but still retaining quite some flexibility. Yeah? And Power Virtual Agent, which is part of Power Platform, with a clear focus for the tech-savvy end user. Yeah. So, like I said, Bot Framework Composer is what we're looking at today. That requires an installation of the desktop client. Yeah, we linked here how to do the installation and the setup for your operating system. And there's also an emulator so that you can test early, yeah, without deploying actually to Teams and adhering all the rules that you need to, so that you can actually see it in Teams. There's the Ngrox Service, which is quite popular for around developers, yeah, because it gives you the opportunity and possibility to expose a service running on your machine to services in the cloud or in the internet in general, yeah? Which is also very nice feature, yeah, to do the emulation here. Then we're going to create our bot. There's again a couple of things we need to be aware of. Like last time, yeah, there's always an app registration in Azure AD that needs to be allowed to use the SAP APIs, yeah. And we did this in the very first 103A session, yeah, with Postman. Then we went on to do this with API management. And again, this client needs to be registered to do the authentication with API management. Yeah? All right. And in the end, there's a snippet that I prepared so that you can get started with the adaptive cards quickly. And to me, actually, the adaptive card is the most important thing why this is great to do this with the chatbot. Because you get interactions here, yeah. You get pictures, you get buttons, you get calendars, pre-filtered drop-downs, yeah. So that's the point where you see the acceleration happening, yeah. And the goal for today will be to see such a card, yeah, based on our chatbot interaction, where we're pulling the products that we always used as our example, and offer some further interactions with it. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So, bot composer. There it is. this the opportunity to put this on one of our client machines, yeah, like the how's it called, Robert, on GitHub code spaces, right? Where you could
exactly.
you can prepare this for a developer, yeah, and don't install locally every time. Okay, so we are creating a new one. There's a couple of templates, yeah, but we can we'll choose this one for C#, yeah, but it could also be Node.js, just here in preview. Give it a name. I'm going to give it a different repo. It does not exist. Yeah, that's true. So I need a new folder then. To show you the different types. Yeah? So I clicked now with a web app, but actually I wanted to do it with a function. Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, which is nice for the serverless nature of it. Yeah. So let's do it over once this finishes here. It's now creating all the scaffolding there. So I just killed it. Let's see if that gets me to the starting page quicker again. There we go. Now we're getting an upgrade. Nice. So on the nightly builds. So I'm on the nightly builds, so I get very frequently updates to this one. Yeah. Which is also might be a challenge for today. Yeah. So if anything breaks, but I'm confident. Last time it still worked. So
in runtime, what you have in runtime? Functions and then okay.
Yeah, so if you actually get a PaaS service or if you get the serverless, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm choosing serverless. And the path. My GitHub repos are here. There we go. Chatbot, new folder. Create. This is now creating locally the runtime and everything that you need to actually execute the bot. And the framework composer also gives you the opportunity, once you're happy with the state of it, to publish it to Azure. Yeah? All from within here, and that's. Yeah.
In this left menu, I take assumption that is probably visual code behind, or what do you think behind this put framework composer?
Yeah, so at least the icons look familiar. Yeah.
Yes, at least, yeah.
Okay. So now we have our bot creation canvas. Yeah. And there's like a lot of videos how to get started for the different topics, yeah, and to get really crazy about your bot design. Yeah. Okay. So, but today we will keep it simple towards getting our SAP content showing up. Yeah. And so here we don't have anything yet. Yeah. So we would need to get started with this initial flow that's being prepared here, yeah, which is the typical greeting one, yeah. So whenever you kick off the flow, it does something, yeah. And in here we have a simple loop on new members interacting with this flow. And it's really just texting us welcome to the bot, yeah.
Okay.
So, and then if anything goes wrong, we get, sorry, I didn't get that. Yeah, so really, really simple, yeah, with no assumptions or any further cleverness. Yeah. Okay, so from here we would then get started. So what do we need? What should we do next then from here? So a couple of options, yeah. Sending a response, we can ask questions, have dialogue management, but there's also access to external resources. Yeah, and here's something that looks promising to us. Yeah, send an HTTP request. Yes, similar like we used to do with our Postman client before. And there's also the OAuth login.
Okay.
Yeah. So the we can be brave and start now with directly the login that we would require for our request. Or yeah, if you run into issues, you need to do troubleshooting. Maybe revert to basic out, yeah, and see if at least it goes to API management, goes to your backend, etc. Yeah. But since we did this last time, I believe we can be bold and say, let's do this the right way from scratch. Yeah. So in here, this is now asking us for a connection name. Yeah. So let's see where we can provide that. So we need now I opened the environment here. So this is the where we have the M365 tenant that we used to do the identity setup. And here we are now creating our first bot service, which is basically the registration around this. Yeah, so we have locally running the actual logic, the source code, but here we are creating now the scaffolding for this in Azure. Yeah? So let's create a new bot service. There's many different options to this, but we are actually using the Azure bot from Microsoft. There's only one plan here. And we need to give it a handle. Subscription. This is actually my trial subscription. Yeah, so this is a really something that's easy to test. Yeah, there's the $200 budget that you get with this. Yeah.
Visual Studio.
Exactly. Yeah. I have a empty resource group. Yeah, there's nothing in this one here. Price plan. I think there's even a free tier. Yeah. There it is. So we don't care about SLA. Yeah. Yeah, just any developer-focused thing for free. Okay, now it wants from us a Microsoft App ID, which is dedicated to this PaaS service, the bot environment. And in here, we have the managed identity option and multi-tenant and single tenant. And we'll keep it simple so that it resembles to the way we did it before. So I choose single tenant.
And what is multi-tenant? From which perspective they're referring to multi-tenant? What is multi-tenant actually?
I think this is about the relationship to Azure AD. If it's if you're doing this only for your organization, or if you're exposing this to others as well. Yeah.
Okay.
And managed identities is a concept within Azure AD. Yeah. So single tenant resembles the way we did it before, yeah, with the app registrations where we had our own client secret name and password. Yeah. So we have like concise to do how we did it before. Yeah. Okay, so we're creating a new one. There we go. And it didn't like that because I probably already had the key vault. Yeah, because when I did this for a different purpose before, I had this the same name, you know, and the creation process failed now. Yeah. So what do? We delete the key vault properly. It doesn't even show here, but we have deleted vaults. There it is. So I need to purge this so that we can actually do a new creation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it doesn't take 10 minutes. But last time I had to do this, it was rather quick. Yeah. Okay, so I'm dropping this because it's created not completely, yeah. So I don't have to fix it manually, yeah. So we throw it away again. So we can start from scratch.
So this process is creating automatically key vault, and for what they will use key vault later?
For the managed app ID and the secret there. Yeah.
So we will store all those important information in key vault just to be sure they are protected. So to say.
Exactly. Yeah. Once again, the free plan. Choose single tenant again and create new app ID. If I remember correctly, this should, assuming that the purge of the key vault already went through. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe the 10 minutes is very pessimistic. Yeah. Okay, running better now.
Okay. Perfect.
There we go, succeeded. So now we're in this special Azure bot resource. And here we have the configuration, which gets us the app ID. Yeah, that's the composer will require at some point. And there's also our OAuth connection settings option here. Yeah. Before we go there, quick note here on the channels, the web chat is enabled by default, yeah, for testing. And Teams, for instance, is one of the options you can enable from here, yeah, so that you can actually then have the right configuration and deployment path, yeah, for it to be added there. So in here, we're adding now the OAuth connection settings. Just giving it a name, ADV2. Yeah, so we choose this endpoint, yeah, from Azure Active Directory. And this now wants from us client ID and secret. And this is a little bit of a challenge, I'd say, because the configuration here generates, yeah, discard this one, generates this for you, yeah. So, but now the value is already gone, yeah. So we cannot easily retrieve, yeah. So either we need now a REST API call to Microsoft Graph to retrieve this.
Together.
Yeah, or we delete and recreate, yeah, and get a new one.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think last time I did this by creating my published profile on Bot Composer, because the Bot Composer then downloads this and shows it to you in the configuration. I think that's either here. Is it here? Yeah, here. So once Bot Composer is able to retrieve the app ID, it also shows you the password. Yeah. Yeah. So there's multiple ways of getting to that information. Yeah. I think, can I already do this? No. Okay. This wants the publishing profile to retrieve the app ID. So let's do that then. Publish. Okay, here's still the bot from. This is our bot, which doesn't have a published target yet. Huh? We're going to manage the profile. There we go. Okay, now it's asking us where to create this, yeah, because we have this locally, right? So the Azure function code sits locally on my machine. But now for the publish profile, it's going to ask us where do you want to put all of this, yeah?
Okay.
And so we have an existing resource group, so I can probably, no, this is about the complete thing. So let's see if this goes through. So this one's now my login. This is the user we have for Azure Active Directory. Okay. This is the same subscription we saw before, yeah. And here's the resource group where we deployed the bot service. So for our function, I don't have a preference here, yeah. But if you have, yeah, choose whatever you like. Giving it a name. The region where we deploy this also doesn't matter today, but most of the time we choose West Europe. Lewis, we are not going to use, yeah, but it's like associated with a bot typically, yeah, because this is the service to get sophisticated language understanding. Yeah. So next, I'm going to check off all the optional stuff, yeah, since we don't require it, yeah, for the demo today. But you might, for your bot journey, yeah, you might want to like those features. So we're keeping only the execution environment, the app registration for Azure AD, and the actual bot channel registration. So that's the bare minimum, yeah.
So just to understand, so what we are now publishing our empty bot to the Azure just to get those information from Azure what we need for next steps.
Yeah. So
and what is the relationship between what we are doing now and this bot service what we created in Azure?
In here we are seeing the
like bot project. Yeah, we create bot project.
That's the local project, so to say, yeah.
Okay.
Which has the code for the Azure function, yeah, which would then hold our logic for the whole flow. And when we hit the first hurdle here in the create process, yeah, because we wanted to start right with the OAuth login, yeah. At that point, we need some properties on Azure AD, yeah, to finish that process. And one of the challenges is that when secrets get created, they're hidden from you, yeah, because they only show up first time when you create them. Yeah? And since I didn't want to create now a service principal and go to the graph to retrieve the secret, and we need the publishing profile anyways, yeah, to progress, yeah, further to teams. That's the approach that I'd like to take. Yeah. So now we have the publishing profile here. Yeah. That means now when we go back to configure, we can try again from here if we can retrieve the app ID. Yeah. And there it already did something. So 646. Let's verify if that's correct. Okay, so let's see, that's the resource group. Okay, so we didn't clean up the last one, but I think the one we created is this one, right? 646, yeah, okay. Just so we don't get confused, let's delete this one. So this is the app ID that identifies the bot, yeah, and this one has a password. Yeah, when we go check here, which starts with API, yeah. And Bot Composer made the call for us and already knows, okay, when I publish, that those are the credentials that I would require.
Okay.
So we're keeping that password and go back to Azure. So from here, starting again, ADV2. As client ID, okay, so let me do the secret first. And the client ID. So I think the app ID and the client ID are not the same. So let's quickly compare. So opening another tab so I can leave this open. So jumping there. So the app client ID is actually the same, yeah, as the managed app ID. Okay. So token exchange URL, tenant ID, and scopes are the things that we know already from what we did on Postman. Yeah. So we can compare to the request that we have here. Yeah. So we would at least need this scope, yeah, that we defined with the read write. And up top, we also have the URL, also the tenant ID that we've been configuring before. Yeah. And I think I also left a note on the GitHub repo here, yeah. And also the redirect here that we need to think about next. So then let's retrieve the scopes. And so I have it here. And from the variables, the remaining values. So there's the AID tenant ID. And the upper middle tier is this one. So upper middle tier, there is. I believe with the tenant ID, this configuration already knows enough to generate the token exchange URL. Yeah. Okay. So we don't need to provide anything here. Yeah. So far, so good. Save. All right. So before we go back to the composer, let's give this app registration access to the middle tier. Yeah. So I'm going back here to Azure AD. Same step like last time we did in 103B, yeah, for API management. So I'm heading over to our middle tier here. And heading into this expose an API part. And here's still the client that we registered last time, yeah. We're also giving it now the bot and authorize it for the scope, yeah, that we put on the registration before. Yeah, and this should now enable the flow not to specifically ask again for authorization during the flow. Okay. So there's the 646. There's nothing configured here. Also not here. So now here I'm going to specify what kind of flows we want to allow. Yeah, it's the same we did also for Postman. Again, we are going to say this is web application, and this is asking us for the redirect URI. Yeah, and for the bot service, this is a dedicated one, which is mentioned on the repo here. So you can really just copy this one. Yeah, which is a standard Microsoft for the bot framework, for the bot framework. Okay, so far so good. And on the API permissions, we need to reflect what we did also before with the other client. So we can even compare just to make sure we cover everything. So I'm moving over to the other client. App registrations. And let's compare the IDs. So we did A35. A35, this one. And this one needed API permissions. And we can see here, we need a couple to replicate, yeah? So now we add delegated permissions. We needed OpenID, which is the basic for the sign-in of the user again. And we needed user read. There it is, yeah. Okay. And in here, we also had the read-write listed here. Is that here? Yeah, it is. So now we're giving permission. Yeah. Beforehand, we were giving trust. Yeah, so that this can go through without extra consent on the login process. Now we're actually giving permission. Yeah. All right. Looks promising, I'd say, Robert. Okay. So then we can now go to the composer and see how far we can get. So we stopped here on the URL login. So I need now the connection name here. And connection name we put here. There it is, AAD v2. So I'm just putting connection name. Here now you can provide also text and title, yeah, what you want the screen to say, yeah. So I think there is a default, but let's also put something like this, yeah. Sign on maybe for SAP web. Yeah. The response will be in such a token property, because the result will be in a property called token, and I don't want this to return token.
Okay.
I'm going to adjust it to something which is not default, yeah, like I go out. Yeah. So then you could also adjust how this should look like if there's something invalid, yeah, if there are multiple questions that could lead to this answer. Yeah, this is all bot specific, yeah. But for our purpose, we will just leave as is now, yeah. So really only the connection name and overriding the result property here, yeah. All right. At this point, we can start testing this already. And so let's see if this works by returning the response. So here's this turn object. And it doesn't know my OAuth yet. Yeah, so then I think the syntax is like this, $ and the curly brackets. Turn my OAuth token. So this should print us our token, yeah, if the process went properly. This is saved already, and starting the bot.
I will just cut this out. So do you want that we create 2 sessions from this, or you think how much you think we will need till end?
15 more minutes.
Yeah.
No?
Because first was only 2 times 20 minutes. You know?
Okay. So maybe then.
Yeah, okay, let's do it. Yeah. Last one was also log 1.
Okay. So now we see the 2 options to test in web chat or in the emulator, and here it tells me the local path. Yeah. But I have already installed the emulator, so when I click this, it will run the emulator and also start Ngrox, which I introduced at the beginning. Yeah? And this already hooks up with the open ports and listening to the process.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's the print message and the title, but nothing here on my button. Yeah? So let's see what happens if I click it, but maybe we need the text there. So this is now what would also happen from within our Teams application. This is requesting us to do the Azure AD login for single sign-on. Yeah? And for a bot flow with mobile devices, etc., you just get a 6-number digit code. Yeah, copying this, we're pasting this here, and this then does the whole flow and prints us our token.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So we already finished the identity part. Yeah. All right. So we can leave this open. Yeah. And make this a little nicer. Yeah, because we didn't have a title here. All right. So next we can already target our subsystem. So I'm sending an HTTP request. Yeah. And here we need to choose the method since we are requesting product data. Yeah, so it's going to be a get.
Okay.
And here on the URL, let's look it up from last time, which we had here on Postman. Here it is.
We were using
the call. Yeah, we were just doing the same thing. Yeah. So I need to replace the API the management domain, and that one is called, there it is. There we go. So in here we have now already a specification. Yeah. So the product name. Yeah. So the typical thing you would ask the user for product name or ID. Yeah. So we can do that as well. Yeah. Ask a question for text. That's the response. The user input. So here's the value and the property where we need to save this. So I will be saving this in dialog sub product. Yeah. So, but I'm missing the question. Where can I put the question? Did it render correctly here?
Is this plus sign close to text?
I would just type it here, I think. What SAP? What SAP product? View. Want to see.
To see and play.
Yeah. IRFB 1000 is like the first hit, I think, when you do search. So let's see what that does. And if I did this properly, then I can now reference here, instead of the static one, I can reference directly the variable, which is dialog SAP. Yeah, which will then dynamically replace. Yeah. We get the response in here in turn.results. And we are saying this will be JSON, please. So that we can easily work with it instead of XML, yeah, because SAP gives you XML if you don't tell it otherwise. Response is JSON. Looks promising. And then we would again print what was there. Yeah? Bot response here. Do I need to click this? Yeah, okay. And here we can reference again with the dollar. And you see here the output is always mentioned there. Turn.results. I don't remember the response structure, so probably we'll see something like a JSON thingy there, and then we can fine tune. Yeah. So let's restart. Oh no, of course, yeah. We still need to provide the headers, yeah, for the authorization. So and the authorization header is this one. It's a BIRA token, so we need that prefix, and here we can provide the token from what we did before. Yeah, exactly. So there was earn my out dot token. Yeah, and we saw it printed already. Yeah, so that will work here. And I'm also giving it an additional header that we want to get JSON from them. All right, so restart. This is doing all sorts of inline saves, so I never know what state this is. So probably we could have just went ahead, yeah, but just to be sure, I restarted. And here you have an active session. You can also restart the conversation. Yeah, it's still hooked up with the same process. So restart conversation. There we go. And the nice thing, you also get the telemetry here, what's happening on the right, yeah, so you can follow what's happening. So we're confirming this. We're copying again. All right.
Okay. Asking for product.
So at this point, you can get very sophisticated, yeah, having pre-filtered stuff, already pulling maybe a list of like the value help in SAP, but we assume at the moment that you know names or IDs, yeah. So, and this was sent and forwarded. Let's see what happened. So here's our message. So I can see product, it replaced the name, so the request looks good. But it said
you didn't receive the token or what?
Yeah, the JOT token.
Hi guys, we have a small break because we discover a small issue on our side. And now, as we promise all the time, if we discover something what is not working, we will try to present you. We'll not try to somehow show you all those steps what we are trying to do to solve our issue. We will just now continue. So Martin, what was our problem? Why we need to stop again?
That's a good point, Robert. I think like with every engineering item, yeah, you make a step forward, then maybe 2 steps back before you progress actually, yeah. And but this time it was about the different variables that the bot composer or the bot framework has, yeah, with different scopes. And we've been chasing this one object, which was the turn, yeah, the turn object, and it just didn't meet our requirements, yeah. And there are multiple ones of them, and I used the wrong one, yeah. Yes, last time we did this. So let's have a look at it and take corrective action. Yeah.
Okay.
So we see here our activity here, our login, returns the object in this turn my OAuth. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's even a warning. Yeah. So if this is about the location, not the actual property itself. Yeah. But it makes a difference where you put this. Yeah. And I think we can see it here when we click write an expression. So it already tells us what type of properties we have. We have this dialog, we have the this object, which is well known from programming languages, and the turn object. And all 3 of those, they differ in scope, lifetime, and if something survives, yeah, if you go down multiple activities. And we chose the one which didn't survive. Yeah, yeah. There are docs on this to describe the different properties of this. But actually, to complete this object, for instance, makes sense in my opinion in loops or anything. Yeah, where you need to make sure that you have the right index if you loop through something. Yeah, and the dialog object really goes through the whole activity stream. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so this would make so this would make sense for our purpose, yeah, where we want to actually store the token and reuse as often as we want during our bot flow here.
So it was interesting because we were confused because shortly after that step we have a print step. Exactly. And it seems to be that survived the print step, but not survived the next step because probably from timing perspective was very quick, yeah, but next step was not so, and then we receive actually the null object.
It's not a timing thing. At the turn, just you get the next turn, yeah. So you get always
so between turns. Okay, I get it. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's obvious from the name, yeah. Turn, yeah. Okay.
Say that, yeah. So we will now override here turn and put the dialog, yeah.
Okay, great.
And keep the result in there. So the rest was all fine. So here we are accessing the token object of this one, yeah. And we are printing the last return results, yeah. And we expect to see here the JSON representation of our product, yeah, that we're putting in. All right, so starting this thing again. Some people might say, just read the manual. Yeah, I would have told you, don't use the turn.
The best way to learn is to test.
To break, I'd say.
Mistakes. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, so test an emulator. Something that you have broken properly, yeah, you understand best. So there we go. Log on. May I click the log on? May I not? There it is. Okay.
Token. Ask for product.
And drum roll.
And yes, product is here.
There we go. We got the nice ring binder green.
Okay.
All right. And this is a typical outprint from the OData structure. And here we have some attributes, even an image URL. Yeah, and this is, I think, a key to presenting this to a user. Yeah, to make it more lively, more interesting to look at. Yeah. So we'll actually, when we interact with this product, we're going to bring the picture. Yeah, next to the boring metadata that you have here. And this is on the subpublic BC path. This is open in our system. Yeah, the public path is allowed within our internal VNet, and but I need to expose it to API management. Yeah, so that I can actually call it from here. Yeah, and I did that before already. Yeah, so when we have a look, but the API management instance is. We're going to log in there so we can have a look at the API management instance. So I've called this public pictures, yeah. And in here, there's really just one operation, and that is fronting everything that's behind the PC pictures, I think. Or I made it even specific to images for Office, yeah. So everything behind this path is now allowed to be called through the API management instance, yeah. Which should apply also to the images we see on our data service. Yeah? All right, so we are taking this payload. We can see it comes as content D and then the actual structures. Yeah, and I already prepared a snippet on our repo for this, so that you don't have to fumble with
parsing that part.
Yeah, with the structure. But it's really easy. Yeah? So you can see. Okay. So we're copying the hero card. You can see here there's the dialog object again, and then the content and the D that we see in the structure. So we go here. Here's the send a response. Yeah, so giving something back, and here you have multiple options. Yeah, and to actually print an adaptive card, we need to choose attachments. Yeah? Okay. And here's already asking me what type of thing I want to put. Yeah? And with custom, you can even use our adaptive card designer with really custom build or whatever. Yeah? And the hero card example that we have is a simple text plus image. Yeah. Okay. And let me choose hero card. Here's already the empty template.
Is already there. Okay.
Yeah, but we override with what I copied before. Yeah. So, but our response object is not API response. It is called results. Yeah. And we might need to. We can keep it internal. Yeah, because we are going to reuse it directly afterwards. So it's up to you how you want to do it. Yeah.
But be careful.
Yeah. Turn API response. Yeah, this should now be the. But here we're referencing dialog. So let me adjust this then to turn. Yeah. So, and I'm dropping the text because we're only giving back the card. Yeah.
Okay, the card. Yeah.
So that should be
enough.
Yeah. So let's see if we get a nice card. Here's also the URL. So restart it. There's a new conversation.
Yes.
Isn't it beautiful, Robert?
Yes. Perfect. Yes.
Ring Vendor Green, and we put the price as a subtitle. And this is really a simple example, yeah, with the with this hero card design, yeah. But I encourage you for some inspiration and creativity. You can really define this
free flow, yeah, with design elements, with further media,
company color, company logo, and something like that.
Yeah, whatever you like, yeah. But it becomes really powerful when you have also inputs, yeah, because here now we were displaying, yeah, but what's next is updating, yeah. So maybe price change, yeah, putting an input field so that you can adjust the number, and once you hit submit, yeah, with your custom button, we are reacting to that submit action here and actually posting again an HTTP request, which is making the change, yeah. But from here, it's really up to your, the sky's the limit, yeah? So up to your creativity, whatever you want to achieve, yeah? Because we enabled this type of integration through API management, yeah, with this kind of flow. And we solved even the principal propagation, yeah? with the authorization header and the way we made all the steps to get here, yeah? Right, so then we can move here and show the remaining step for the registration. Where is it? Those Azure Active Directory here. Here are the channels, yeah, where you can register this bot, yeah, or where it can be connected to. And we have here the web chat is by default is always there, and then you can start adding, yeah. And Microsoft Teams is part of this list, yeah, where you can just scroll down and choose whatever you like, yeah, and to be able to access that bot, yeah. And I think from here we're going to finish for today, Robert, right?
Yeah, exactly. So with this we are done in complete one big part of our series. So we from identity trust in many combinations, and finally we use that what we learned how to establish identity trust between SAP systems or SAP platform, business technology platform, and Azure Active Directory, and how to put it in practice with some challenges. Yeah, but I think what we already promised in the beginning, we will share with you some pains, yeah, which is somehow coming from our too fast clicking around, but it's also somehow a way of learning stuff, as you mentioned. So thank you for being with us all the time, and we promise you we will continue with some other interesting stuff in next recording. So stay tuned. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you, Robert. Bye.